It's been 3 months of uncertainty, 3 months of disquiet, 3 months of negotiations, 3 months of will we, won't we, and 3 months basically of not knowing. But like the good book says, to everything there is a season, a time to go for a coronavirus enforced football break, and a time for the big leagues to come roaring back. The Bundesliga took the lead over a month ago with live commentary on Joy FM and the Multimedia Group on the 16th of May. And now today, La Liga makes a start with Sevilla versus Real Betis. What will change and what will be different? Today, we have a conversation here on Joy News. Welcome to PM Express. 'Welcome to PM Express. My cup makes a return. I am Gary L. Smith, and this show today marks the beginning of 6 days of Joy Sports programming to usher you into the return of football. We have shows here on Joy News and on Joy FM on radio and also online. We are taking this opportunity to make this announcement. This is the Joy Sports football season endgame. Six days of programming begins now. Let me welcome my guest. From the United Kingdom, a former player who has featured at the top level in the Premier League. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Carlton Cole. And also, we will check up a familiar face to football fans of this side of the globe, a woman who has seen it all and done an amazing job of making herself the first lady of sport. It's our pleasure also to welcome from down south, Chabala.
Hi, everyone.
So, from Chabala, we can now go to a man whose co-commentary has been very familiar and serenaded us across the world and to millions of football fans every Premier League match day. It seemed that before this show we had a bit of a mix-up of the time, and so first of all we'd like to just apologize to Mr. Jim Becklin for the time mix-up, but thank you very much for your time.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Gary. It's no problem at all. It's
excellent.
Great to be here.
Yes, indeed. So those are our three guests, and wherever you are watching us from across the world, don't forget that the hashtag is PM Express so that we can keep the conversation going. By way of introduction again, let's take a look at who our guests are. Carlton Cole, first of all, if you are there, welcome again to PM Express.
Hello, Gary. Sorry, mate. I had it on pause. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's fine.
I'm just getting used to the technology nowadays. You know what I mean? I'm a bit behind.
Carlton, you know, we are going to talk about that actually on the show because all of us have had to embrace technology in what they call the new normal. But let's take a look at the profile of Mr. Carlton Cole, somebody you might have seen on your TV screens for many a time, for years. Let's take a look at who he is and what he has done. So Carlton Cole, as you know, is an England international. He has 7 national team caps, 289 Premier League appearances, 52 Premier League goals, 23 Premier League assists, and he's an academy coach for West Ham United. He's also a club ambassador Let's now take a look at Carol Chabala. She has an impressive resume. 20 years in broadcasting. She's South African. 9 years at Supersport International. 3 years an anchor for Premier League Productions. 2010 FIFA World Cup. You might recall that she was the host for the preliminary and the final draws. And guess what? This is the one I'm proud of. She is the first and only African to host the FIFA Ballon d'Or ceremony. A slow, appreciative clap for Carol, breaking barriers as the first lady of sport. And now, I see you are blushing, Carol. Don't blush yet.
I am. I am. Stop it.
Okay, and to Mr. Jim Becklin, when we mentioned that he was going to be our guest, a lot of the people my father's age were happy because he was playing in their time. He had 98 appearances for Liverpool, 15 national team caps for the Republic of Ireland. He's a second division winner with Leeds. He's a first division winner of Liverpool, what we call the Premier League now, the old first division. He's won the FA Cup once, and he's been a co-commentator since the mid-90s. Jim Becklin, that is he. Later on in the show, we'll be having another guest, the La Liga rep for Ghana and Nigeria, Guillermo Castello, will be joining us later in the show when we have the halftime. Carlton will be going to bed like the good man he is.
Yes, very much.
Carlton will be going to bed.
I'm struggling to open my eyes right now.
So Carlton will be going to bed, and then we'll have a substitution. But gentlemen and lady, thank you very much. This is Joy News, Ghana's biggest and Ghana's best.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be with everyone that is watching, and of course, in such esteemed company.
Fantastic. So let's begin with you, Carlton Cole. The Premier League starts, in a couple of days. You are an academy coach with West Ham United. What's the general preparation like at the moment, Carlton?
Well, it's different for the academy. The academy right now are not in action, so we have to wait until probably August until we can go back to playing games. But the first team, obviously, training. They started training from last week, I think the week before that, and they're getting ready. I was there the other day having a look at the training, and all the boys look fit. They look ready to go and ready for the first game coming up.
Excellent. We'll be coming to you more. So that's by way of, setting the tone. Carol, from a broadcasting side of things, you have also had to improvise greatly, just like we have during this COVID period. What's been going on with you?
So much has been happening, Gary. And, it's actually funny. The 11th today is a very significant date for me. First of all, it's exactly 10 years since the 2010 FIFA World Cup. So we've been reliving all of those wonderful moments, kickoff of that historic occasion for Africa, for the world, all of today. And also, my last live match that I actually attended in the UK was on the 11th of March. So exactly 3 months ago, and that was a Champions League game, the second league, the second round, the second leg game, of course, between Liverpool FC as well as Atletico Madrid. And at that stage, obviously we'd heard about the outbreak, COVID-19. There were murmurs here and there, but we actually had no idea just what an impact it would have in the world of sport. It seemed like such a foreign concept, and it seemed as if this would be a pandemic that we would be able to get under control. I was at that game. It was completely sold out, as are most of the games in the UK. We celebrated, we hugged, all of us fans together as a family. And literally the very next day, the UK recorded its first 2 COVID-19 deaths. 2 days later, all of the matches that were scheduled for the weekend were called off. I flew back to South Africa. We had matches for another week and a half. And when I came back to South Africa, I thought, well, maybe this is something that's going to affect more than anything Europe, because we started hearing about leagues, of course, in Spain, in Italy, in France, also having to be halted and a decision needing to be made there and games being called off. But that wasn't the case here in South Africa. And we thought we were just going to kind of sail on by. But that wasn't the case. About a week and a half after that, we had to do the same with our particular league. And the world has just not been the same since. You know, I hear everyone talking about the new normal. I hate that phrase because there's nothing normal about this. It's the new now. And I'm still holding on to the hope that very soon we'll return to the real normal, what we are used to. So we've had to make in the meantime, and technology, just needing to, you know, get a grapple on technology, broadcasting from home has been a little bit of a challenge. It's taken me about 2 weeks, but what really has been impressive is how everyone in the world of broadcasting has just so quickly needed to adjust to the situation. And we've loved the fact that, I'm saying loved, but the fact that a lot of our footballing icons and heroes and sports icons are now available. You know, they've been at home, so we've been able to catch up with them, and we've just had to adjust the kind of programming from now broadcasting live games to showing more lifestyle programs. So it's been quite an adjustment, but it's time to get back to what we are used to doing on a day-to-day.
Nice one. We'll go to the meat of the matter, but Jim, you're one of the world's most beloved co-commentators, and I'm sure you also couldn't wait to get going. What has it been like in this lockdown period for you, and how are you looking forward to your first game, Man City versus Arsenal?
Well, I can't wait to get back. This time next week, hopefully I'll be preparing for the Merseyside derby after I've been to the Etihad. But Manchester City Arsenal is a lovely, tasty game to return with. While we've been in lockdown, it's been boring at times, I have to admit that. I've done lots of this type of stuff, lots of interviews, because obviously we work on the world feed, so the broadcasters around the globe have asked us to partake in some of their programming, and that's been great. But you concentrate, I guess, on your immediate family when something like that happens. And with the pandemic hitting us, and I was there as well that night, Carol, at the Liverpool Atletico Madrid game, and you want your family to stay well, and my family has been spread a little bit, but my son and my daughter have both made it home, and they've been here throughout as well. And thankfully, everybody has remained safe, and we're all ready to go again. And when I got the news of my schedule on Tuesday, I was absolutely thrilled, because we're back.
We are back indeed, and just like Carol and SuperSport, who are our partners, are, you know, using as their tagline, football is back. Anyway, so we are all excited, but hold up. I mean, one huge issue hanging over the world at the moment is that which has got to do with racial justice. And I mean, following the murder of George Floyd in the States, ripples have been felt across the world. And we've seen football play a big part. For Ghana, big-name Ghanaian footballers have also not been left out. So let's just take a look at the Ghanaian footballers who have been contributing. And then I'll come to you, Carlton, to speak about this, because you've also been having a say about it. Let's see what the Ghanaian footballers have been saying about Black Lives Matter. Oh, sorry about that. So let me come to you, Carlton. I mean, you've seen what the Ghanaian players have been saying. You, in particular, have recently been speaking about this issue, and I saw your powerful piece in the Daily Mail newspaper First of all, what's your experience of discrimination at your level of football?
Yeah, I've had a few issues along the way. Online, when Twitter first came around, I had a few misdemeanors on there.
Yeah.
With some fans. But my first, I recall the first time I actually did get subjected to racism when I was over in Spain playing for England under 21s. When a banana got thrown on the pitch. But back then I wasn't really focused on the banana as such. I was focused on the game, and it didn't actually register until after the game that I was subjected to racism. And then after, when I was walking down the tunnel as well, had a lot of monkey chants directed at me and all the other black players that was on the field. But that was in Europe. But I always say that we need to keep our own house in order to progress first. So stop concentrating on other countries, and let's just look at ourselves first and see if we can eradicate it in our game, and then we can move further on to doing it across the world.
Good. So, Carlton, let's have a look at portions of your piece on the Daily Mail website. Very interesting quotations. And this is what you said. You said, eventually, I want to be a manager, and all I want is equal opportunities. Ashley Cole and I are studying now, about to do our A license, and he doesn't want to go into a job underqualified. Now,
yeah.
You also say, I know I'm going to be one of the first of my era to go into a job, so I've got to make it right for the next generation. I'm doing it for every black person to be successful. That's why I'm thinking this is bigger than me. This is for the culture. It's for us to grow, and then there will be an influx of managers. Powerful stuff there. So, Carlton, you want to be a Premier League manager, one of the first black Premier League managers, yes?
Yeah, of course. You'd always, that's the end game. It's always the end game. And any, obviously I'm an ex-pro, played the game over 15 to 20 years. You always want to progress to the next level. I see myself doing youth football, because now I'm learning a different skill, how to read players, how to manipulate a football team, how to change formations. So I'm doing all the stuff for my education to be a good manager. Now, once I've got all the qualifications, you'd like to think that you know the game well, and if you can bring your experience and also you can bring value to a football club, and they understand where you want to take the football club and know and believe in your plan, I don't see why a player with certain experience and know-how wouldn't get a job. I always say that it shouldn't be about the color of your skin, but when you see us so underrepresented in the higher leagues of football, you kind of question, why are there so few black players or black managers as such in that position? So I really do hope that if I do get all my qualifications, work hard, leave no stone left unturned, and I could project a foreseeable plan to get an interview, to even get in the door to show my plan to an owner, then I shouldn't see anything wrong with that. But I think you have to be prepared to go into an interview first before you can actually start thinking that you're going to be a manager. So you have to prepare yourself to go into a room where you're going to project your ideas. And that's the first protocol for me.
Nice one. I'll come to you, Jim and Carol, but staying with you, Carlton. Look, the truth is that black players are really, really underrepresented at every level of the game, especially in Europe, particularly in the UK. Do you think that systemically there are barriers that do not allow black players the same opportunities as white players or white professionals?
Yes, there definitely has to be something in that. When you look at the statistics of how many black players to white players that go on to be managers, it's damning that there's not we are really underrepresented. But you got to look at also, I always say, look at the whole picture. There's not a lot of English managers at the moment, let alone black managers.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of English managers at the top level. So we're fighting a double battle to be English and black. It kind of works against you because there's not even enough English managers up at that level. So we have to, that's why I say we have to prepare ourselves thoroughly before we can go and try and apply for a job and make sure that you are the right, and to convince the owners that you are the right man for the job too. So that is really one of the basic things that we have to do. And then if they do knock you back, try again. And if you try, then, because it's been happening to a lot of black players not getting the right opportunities and not even getting into the room for an interview, which is very concerning. So that's where we want to change the tide and try and help enlighten some of these owners to say, listen, we can do the same thing too. But it's very important we get it right.
Good. Thank you for that. Now, Jim, let me come to you. I mean, you are the oldest footballer on this set right now. My football career is only 6 years old, thankfully. And it stopped, because my mother was not too happy about it. But you, Jim, you played at the highest level as well. And you lived through the roaring 80s, where racism was quite a problem. How do you feel with these young footballers today now able to speak more openly, more strongly than ever before?
Well, I think it's only right. And I think Carlton presented his case extremely well. I think, first of all, Gary, it's a terrible shame that you have to ask me a question like this in the 21st century. We haven't made significant enough strides towards eradicating racism. Football has tried to do its bit, but it's not worked hard enough at it, in my opinion. And it's obviously a deeply rooted problem throughout society. And I'm not an expert, but there is no easy solution to it. But we must continue the fight on all fronts. And while it's dreadful to recall the tragic death of George Floyd, I sincerely hope that this, finally, will be that moment in time when we look back that racism truly began to subside. And I honestly hope that this will now have a significant impact across the whole world, and that we will start looking upwards from here, and that it will be reflected in football too, that black players will get a greater chance to become black managers at the top level.
Nice. Now, as you attend games and, you encounter more of these younger players, you have seen different generations come and go. Do you have a feeling, Jim, that, like many black players have said in the last couple of days, and we'll hear Raheem Sterling in a bit, there's too much lip service paid to the racism issue, not just in the UK, but really across European football, and not enough action? Yeah,
I mean, I've basically commented on that now. I think high-profile players such as Raheem Sterling need to keep saying what he has been saying, particularly, and basically continue to badger away at the authorities, the establishment, to rectify a wrong, because it is a problem in this country, and it's been spoken about time and time again, without any real impression being made, without the impact that's significant enough to enforce change. And I welcome the likes of Raheem Sterling. I met him not so long ago, had a little chat with him. I welcome comments like he has made to enforce that change. It has to happen, Gary. It's dragged on for too long, and it can't be ignored anymore.
Nice one. Carol, before we go for a break, I mean, South Africa has the unfortunate rep of, having this racism problem, if I can put it very delicately. Does all this that Carlton has said and Jim has said, does it resonate with you in a certain way?
It definitely does, Gary. And the very sad and unfortunate thing is that we've had many, many years of apartheid, as we know it here in South Africa. And, you know, to still be seeing situations like this and instances like this happening across the globe in this day and age is really, really disheartening, and disappointing. And we realize just how powerful, we speak about the power of sports, and in particular football, which is the biggest supported sporting code. And we're realizing that this is a true reflection of society. This is a societal issue. So we can't separate sport from what happens in society. And this is another reason why, for example, you look at the Premier League and why it is so popular all over the world is because people all over the world can identify with the players that are there. We are represented there. You know, the Premier League has African footballers that are there plying their trade. So, you know, more needs to be done, and we need to utilize this power of sports, this power of football to, you know, really make sure that we start to institute proper change. And I think we're using sports to do that in many different facets, when it comes to female representation as well, from the broadcasters to what's happening on the field of play, women's football. We're starting to see how sports, how football can play this important role and change society as it is.
Okay, for a break. When we come back, we leave the specter of racism behind and then do some hardcore analysis here with Carol Chabala, who knows her onions, Jim Becklin, who knows his onions, and Carlton Cole, well, who has played the onions. Lots of questions coming in for Jim Becklin, Carol Chabala, and Carlton Cole. And one says, is Carlton Cole the brother of Ashley Cole? We'll ask him that in a bit. But before then, this is what the Premier League table looked like before Mr. Corona struck. Yep. Liverpool on top, as they've been throughout the season. Man City, Leicester and Chelsea battling for fourth. Manchester United looking for that UEFA Europa League place. And it is for this reason why the beginning of this weekend is so important for the Premier League, for La Liga, for Bundesliga and others. And for us here at Joy Sports also, it marks the beginning now of the football season and game series of programs. I've been asking you to tweet, so let me take a round of your thoughts and questions for my guests. Don't forget that we have, in no particular order, ladies first. So Carol Chabala joining us from down south. Hi, Carol.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for your time so far. Yes, and also Mr. Carlton Cole, who knows how to score a lot of goals. Hi, Carlton. Thank you again for your time.
Hi, how you doing? How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. And Mr. Jim Becklin, whose descriptions of goals, well, I think you know the rest. Thank you for your time so far, Jim.
Great to be here.
Great to be here. Eugene Osei on Twitter, tweeting with the handle Eugene Osei22 says, Jim has spoken so well. To be talking about racism in the 21st century means we have failed at fighting this issue, but we must not relent. We should keep pushing. Rome was not built in a day. So, Jim, you are getting a lot of props for, you know, the way you've handled the racism question there. Also, trophy pending, the copper says, this is Joy News, Ghana's biggest and Ghana's best is in with the PM Express. This one says, Gary, who did the commentary on the Basa Roma Champions League game where Basa lost 4-0? I love that commentator. So that was Peter Drury. Jim, were you the commentator for that game for Peter?
Well, I worked on that game, but I worked for Irish TV on that game.
Oh,
I think
RTE.
the commentators for BT Sports, which broadcast in the UK, I think were Darren Fletcher and Steve McManaman that particular evening, yes. I'm not certain on that, but I think they were just nearby where we were sitting.
Okay, so you were also in Rome on that day then, so that's great. More Twitter questions and suggestions are coming in. Please keep them coming at PM Express. Let's move on to the Premier League proper, and then we go on to other things. But first of all, let me introduce our guest from La Liga, Guillermo Castelo. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you very much.
Guillermo is the official representative of La Liga to Ghana and Nigeria. We appreciate your time. Quickly though, how excited are you that football is back and La Liga has started this evening?
Well, we're extremely excited and happy after all the tough work in the last weeks and months. I think it's very good news, not only for La Liga, for international football, that the big leagues we are able to start being back to competition, to normal, or kind of a little normalcy, little by little. And yeah, the derby is happening right now. So we are very excited to be back and to be back with such a big game.
I'll come to you for La Liga, but let's start with the Premier League. Carlton, you first, who we know that Liverpool are going to win the title, obviously. But if we look at that table, there are some people going for second, third, and fourth. The Champions League spots are up for grabs. What is your assessment of the situation, Carlton?
Well, it just depends how they come back and what sort of form they hit straight away. I know they're all fighting for that place, so hopefully, look, Liverpool have obviously won the league already. They just got to glide to the end. But everybody else, the rest is up for grabs. I think Man City, Chelsea are involved. A lot of some top teams might have to miss out this season, you know. So let's see what happens. It's going to be very interesting. Yeah,
Jim, what's your expectation? Obviously, you had 98 appearances for Liverpool. You won the league title, the old First Division. They are going to win it, but do you think that the lack of fans, the general vibe, is going to take anything away from 30 years of waiting?
Well, that's a big shame, and obviously the pandemic is still ongoing, so fan behaviour is going to be extremely important. Gary, if your team can go to the Etihad and do the business, then obviously Liverpool have a chance of winning it at Goodison. Evertonians won't like that, but I just really hope that if that is the case and Liverpool do achieve it that particular evening, that fan behaviour will be good, and that we won't see indiscipline and things getting sloppy again, because the last thing we want is for a second spike to arrive. But I think on the whole, as you mentioned before, Liverpool have been the outstanding team, and it's just a case of when now.
Nice one. I have to say, Carlton, at any point where you feel it's bedtime, let us know, because we promise to keep you on for 30 minutes. So just feel free to let us know when you have to go. We really appreciate you having us. If you want to join us for this conversation, why, bingo as well. But Jim, coming back to you. So Liverpool definitely are going to win the title. The race for second, third, and fourth is up there and up for grabs. If we can see the table again, guys, what is your reckoning? Who is going to finish where?
Well, I think I touched on it with you earlier on, Gary, when we did the little promo for what we're doing now. And I think there's going to be an unpredictability about things, because look what has happened in the Bundesliga. 48% of the results are away wins. That's 11% up on the average in the Bundesliga. So the fact that there are no crowds in stadia, it's obviously much easier now for visiting teams to be able to settle in and pick up points. So I would go for, I think Chelsea will probably have enough. I think Leicester will probably have enough. This is all based on the fact that Manchester City will be banned from European competition, of course. I know they're making their appeal to CAS at the moment. And I think Manchester United will probably, with the run that they were on before the pandemic, if they can rekindle that once more, I think there's a good chance now that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with all the criticism he's received, will get Manchester United over the line, of course, all based on the fact that Manchester City won't be able to take a European place. Yeah.
Let me ask you, this is a question from one of my viewers, Mr. Zach Q on Twitter. He says, Jim, Premier League has had one new coronavirus case in the latest testing round, and that's according to Sky Sports. How does this affect the resumption of the Premier League, Jim?
It doesn't. It won't impact on it because the numbers are suitably low enough. I think in total, certainly last week, there were 13 positive tests in about 6,260, something like that. So that's very encouraging from the Premier League. And I think, again, you look at the Bundesliga model, the Germans are very good at organising, and I think that the Premier League can be very relieved about the way things have gone there. Indeed, I'm sure La Liga will be practicing similarly, and indeed Serie A in Italy. So I think the Premier League is good to go, and I think the fact that you've seen one positive result recently, I don't think it will have any impact on Project Restart.
Okay, let me go to our man from La Liga as well, Guillermo Castello. I mean, we know that tests are being done across the world for the leagues that are resuming. You know, some are testing every 3 days, some every week. Some would require that if any squad has a coronavirus case, they'd have to be quarantined. In some countries, it's not the same. Please educate us on what the situation is with La Liga.
Okay, yeah, as you were mentioning, we will be doing tests. We have already been doing tests before the trainings to make sure the players were training in safe conditions. Now, of course, before the games, not only the players, but every single person entering the stadiums. Even if we don't have fans, we will have, of course, the staffs and the people from the clubs, but also the referees, some journalists. So everyone in the stadiums will be having those tests. And in case there is one positive for a player before one game, that player will be separated from the group, but not the whole group will be put in quarantine. Tests as they happen every few days. We are able to track the evolution of every single player. So one positive case doesn't mean we stop the game or we stop the league.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty much the same in Spain and England as well. Carol, let me come to you. I mean, Carlton is playing. Jim goes to the stadium to do co-commentary, and so they are banked in it. You are doing it from a broadcasting point of view as well. If at any point there's anybody with is affected by coronavirus or COVID-19. We've heard from Spain and England that this is what is going to be done. I do know that South Africa are looking to resume pretty shortly, somewhere this week.
That's right.
Yes, I heard. A bird told me that today.
A little bird.
Yes, a little bird told me that today.
It's still not official at the moment. We're keeping our fingers crossed. But I think we're also just looking at what the general trend is abroad. And yes, very encouraging what we've seen from the Bundesliga. And now what we're seeing, of course, from La Liga today and what we'll see next week from the Premier League. So with all of these big leagues going ahead here in South Africa, the Premier Soccer League, as you know, is one of the biggest leagues in Africa. We obviously have to follow suit. And some of the plans that have been spoken about is having a huge group camp in one area where all of the teams are going to be secluded there. They're going to be training there, and all of the matches are going to play out in one stadium.
That would be like the USA then. That would be like the USA's example. That's what the Americans are doing.
That's right. That's right. I mean, we don't have that many more fixtures to go till the end of the season. We've got about 9, on average, about 9 fixtures, 8 to 9 fixtures left to the end of the season. So, yeah, we don't have, the problem or as much of a fixture congestion as we're seeing in the Prem and out in Spain.
Okay, so I mean, I've had a round of questions on what you think is going to happen in the Premier League. I mean, you work with Premier League Productions. Liverpool obviously are running away. What do you think is going to happen between 2nd and 5th, Carol?
Can I tell you something? You've very conveniently not spoken about Arsenal.
but Carol, I put it to you, Carol, that I'm not speaking about Arsenal not because I am biased, because I happen to be an Arsenal fan myself.
I know that, and at the moment they're not looking good. Things are not looking good at all for the likes of Arsenal, for Spurs, but I think that this restart is offering all of the teams an opportunity almost to reset. And obviously with the new protocols, with the 5 substitution rule, with the, more players on the subs bench as well, we're hearing that the teams that have got depth now in their squads are those that are looking to really perform so much better now with Project Restart. Teams like Man United, who are going to be giving, some of their younger prospects an opportunity as well to go out there and to play. So it's about how much depth does your team have now with these final fixtures in order to give it that last little push. So, you know what, I think it's all up for grabs, really. It's not over till it's over. I think we Wolves, don't leave Wolves out of it. Look at Sheffield United and where they are. Arsenal, hope springs. So too does it for Spurs. Anything really is possible at the moment. I think we really will start to get an idea of possibly what could happen once restart takes place. And that's when we're going to see just the amount of work that the players have been able to do on their own, on an individual basis. And then, of course, since the contract training has resumed.
Nice.
And, of course, that Tottenham-Manchester United fixture on the first Friday of the return, that will have a big bearing on things.
It will have a big bearing on things, indeed. It must be said. So let me go to Carlton. Let me go to you again. You are part of a Premier League team setup. You know how they are preparing as well. Give us a peek into what it was like during lockdown. What were you doing? Did you just stop? Did you just stop asking the players to do any training? Because we saw videos of certain teams using Zoom, to train and all that. But essentially, apart from that, what were you doing?
I was doing keep-ups with a toilet roll. That's what I was doing.
The keep me up challenge.
I was doing the keep me up challenge with a toilet roll. I think everybody was doing it. That was all our training.
No wonder we were running out.
Yeah, exactly. There's no toilet rolls in the supermarket anymore. So I think most of the lads, the ones I've been speaking to, they've been training, they've been doing their own bit. Most of these guys have got big gardens, so they can run around their garden. Some of them go to the park because we were still allowed to go to the park, so they run around the park. They do their own little sprint challenges, and the team has had a format for them to follow to stay at home and do their technique work, whether it'll be conditioning work. Everybody's been putting in the graft, so I think they've come back fit. And I think, especially I could talk for the West Ham boys. They've definitely not. Some of the guys have obviously been coming in and doing their parts little by little, but not all in a group. So everybody's been staying fit and staying on point.
Nice one. Now, this is a question that will go around the table, especially to our man from La Liga, Guillermo, because we've had the opportunity to see a La Liga game, just before I came in the studio. Look, Guillermo. First of all, La Liga is using the ambience, the stadium ambience. There's a huge debate across the world about the appropriateness of that. Give us an understanding about why La Liga decided to use the fake noise in your broadcast today. We were watching it on our partners, SuperSport and DSTV here.
Yeah, well, same for me, to be honest. I was watching right before this chat, the Gran Derby, Sevilla-Betis, and it's the first time for me as well. Well, it was an innovation. Me personally, I knew there were going to be some innovation. I didn't know exactly what. This is one of them. We partner with EA Sports and FIFA, so they are the ones developing these technologies. We wanted to just create the atmosphere of the stadiums. Let's say we are not trying to think people in their homes that there is real audience. We know there is not. But to be honest, I was watching this game and. For me, at least, the sound makes it way more interesting than just an empty stadium. But then something interesting as well is we will be having every 20th minute of each game, you can hear the applauses of the fans that can upload their applauses to a website called applaustoinfinity.com. So we can even hear the real fans around the world, in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Africa, and everywhere in the world. So there's different innovations that I think can make it look interesting. Of course, some people won't like it.
Yeah. So let me stay with you. La Liga stands to lose about 800 million euros, Guillermo, if fans are kept out of the stadium. And the president of La Liga, Tebas, has hinted that because of this, there is a possibility that fans will be allowed in the stadium. Let's not forget that places like Denmark, that started, playing about 2 weeks ago, are going to allow about 300 fans to begin coming into the stadium. Are you going to allow fans into the stadium, Guillermo?
We don't know. To be honest, for now, we cannot. And everything we do has to be done, of course, in a safe and responsible way. We've done a very hard work in the last 2-3 months to be able to be where we are now. And we cannot just ruin it in 2-3 weeks because we want to run too much. There is a possibility if things evolve properly, but every decision we've taken in the last weeks and every decision we will be taking in the coming weeks is together with the Spanish government. They are the ones having the more important information about how the crisis is evolving.
Sure.
So that's one thing. Another thing is the losses wouldn't be 800 million, but might be 300 million if we don't have public, not 800. That would be without TV if we were not able to finish the league.
Great. So, Jim, while Guillermo was speaking, what you said earlier came to mind, that the priority has to be, the health and safety of people. Do you think that the major leagues, or leagues around the world, should just write this season off as one of those losses and not even think of bringing fans into the stadium because the danger is too great?
Yeah, I think principally that will be the case, Gary, because it's too risky. None of us want to see a second wave because that could really knock us back, and who knows what would happen then. But just listening to Richard Masters, the CEO of the Premier League, in an interview recently, he said, I think there'll be about 300 people, which I think is the same in the Bundesliga, that will be allowed into the stadiums to begin with. But they won't think about bringing fans into the stadiums until next season, when they begin to phase it in, perhaps slowly. And of course, they're going to be in dialogue an awful lot to figure out when they'll actually be able to start that and how we'll be able to get going again. I mean, lockdown rules in the UK are easy. There's no doubt about that. And the 2-meter rule looks as if it's about to be suspended. But in terms of football matches, it's still inviting too much danger in terms of sparking another spike.
Yeah, and as they say, anybody who has been listening to Joy FM or watching JoyNews knows that we are all scared of the second wave, because historically during pandemics, it's the second wave that probably kills more people than even the first wave. And we've crossed the 1 million mark across the world. We don't want that. Carlton, let me come to you. The Premier League prides itself on being the most intense league in the world, right? You have played in it. You know what it's like. Would you say that players featuring in so many games over a short period, now that the league is back, is going to be a problem for the boys? What are they saying?
Yeah, of course. There's gonna be people that guys that will be like, okay, we've got an amount of games, so they're gonna. that's where you have a big squad. So if you've got a big squad, you should be all right. And hopefully we have some fit boys down at West Ham. So that's all I know. But I think most of the boys are fit enough to be playing, because when you look at the Christmas period, we do ram pack that period. Like sometimes we've got 4 or 5 games in the space of 2 weeks. So the boys are going to be used to it, and hopefully they can come back, and hopefully there's not injuries. That's what I'm worried about, the injury impact, and that could really hurt somebody's season if their key players get injured at the wrong time for them. So the managers will definitely be trying to protect all the players as much as they want, resting the players at the right time and getting the movement, the momentum they need to secure a league position or secure a Champions League place.
Yeah. Do you think there's an unfair advantage to some of the bigger teams like Man City and Co., to the detriment of those teams further down in terms of
of course, because they've got the most money. So it's as simple as that. So the teams that without the injury, they shouldn't have that much injury problems, but the teams that have the most money have the better players, have the deeper pockets to get a better squad. So they're the ones that are going to be advantage in this period. But you'll see a lot of players digging deep within themselves to try and make every game and try and be as fit for every game too.
Carol,
I don't want to be a doom and gloom merchant on this, Gary, but the injury rate in the Bundesliga, to use that as an example, has risen by 225%.
Oh dear.
The Bayer Leverkusen coach came out the other day and he said every single one of his players has got an issue, whether it be slight or serious. So there's been a huge impact in terms of the injury situation. And as Carl referred to before, 9 substitutes are going to be allowed now on the bench, and obviously 5 usable on any match day. And I think that's very, very important now to the way things certainly are shaping in Germany.
Yeah. Let me come to you, Guillermo, in Spain. Today marks the beginning of not 1, not 2, not 3, not 20, not 30, but 49 consecutive days of football. That is crazy. 49 consecutive days of football. I mean, I'm going to have football fatigue already by next week. I mean, but... And
my mom too. No. But, of course. But I mean, the thing here is there will be games every day, but of course not every team is going to be playing every day.
Sure.
We are making sure, actually I think there's only one day from now to the 19th of July, only one day without league, I think, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't make it be every day. Of course, there has to be 72 hours between 2 different games. One team cannot play 2 games in less than 72 hours.
Okay.
But I think something that Carol mentioned is interesting. Here, of course, we wish there won't be too many injuries. We know there's a little risk there. Here, the coaches have an interesting role to play with using maybe players that don't usually have that many chances. I think it's interesting from that side.
Yeah.
Maybe some young players will have more chances. We will see. I think it can be interesting.
Okay. Carol, you do a lot of player interviews. You do a lot of player interviews for Premier League productions as well. Now, the question is, do you think that perhaps the introduction of technology in your field would change how you work after COVID, even though you do a lot of player interviews?
After COVID, definitely. I think it's even going to change on match day. The match day protocols extend even for broadcasters. I mean, we've seen it obviously with the Bundesliga, where you have to maintain, the distance between yourself and the player that you are interviewing. So it's a little bit awkward, but just maintaining that particular distance. And when you look at match day protocols, we're going to have to utilize technology, of course, in terms of the lead up before the games, not necessarily going to training sessions and being given an opportunity to speak to the players, to speak to the coaches in the lead up to big games then. So technology is going to play such a big role. And during this time, you know, I've had an opportunity just to keep up and to keep tabs with a lot of the players all over the world. And I echo the sentiments and the concerns of some of the individuals here, in that you're looking at these players doing individual training sessions. I mean, just how disciplined have they been to stick to the programs that they've been given, to stick to the diets that they've been given? You know, just how prepared and just how ready are they to take on this very, very congested, you know, fixture schedule that us as fans and as broadcasters, we're more than happy to have a game every day or every other day, because we've missed it for so long. It's kind of like payback time. You know, it's making up for all this time that we've been sitting at home without live football. We're celebrating that. But just the strain on these players is going to be something else. And of course, we're going to be extra busy as well as broadcasters. Nice one.
So this is still Joy News, and this is PM Express. You may have noticed that we seem to have, you know, we are in extra time because we did say that it was going to be an hour. However, our people upstairs have been kind enough to give us a little more leeway. So here is me officially saying, you know, thank you to the guys around the table for staying with us beyond the allotted 1 hour. We'll be done in the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so, and I hope you are enjoying the conversation. Now, more questions are coming in for you guys. Jim, people are asking me to ask you, what is it like to be doing co-commentary with the poet Peter Drury? And this is coming from Anita Asari. What is it like to be doing co-commentary alongside Peter Drury, who was our guest a couple of weeks ago?
It's a joy, because I always focus on what the individual is like before you talk about whatever his professional trade is. And he's a really good guy. He's a gentleman, Peter. And we first began working together for the BBC on the radio in the mid-90s. And I followed him everywhere he's been since. He has a gift for words. He's a wordsmith. And he doesn't try to be too fancy Dan. He just does what comes from his heart, or says what comes from his heart. His openings, his match day openings are quite fantastic. And sometimes I don't appreciate them in full. I might get to hear them back, but I don't appreciate them in full because I might be just processing my own thoughts before I think about what my opening comment is going to be or what Peter might bring me in on. But it's remarkable what he can come up with, and the way he can present a game, the way he can sell a game to the audience before a ball is even kicked. And those intros are spectacular. And then, of course, I think over the years working together, we've developed a rapport, so we can kind of finish each other's sentences now. It's scary. I mean, we're like twins at times. We said that to one another about 18 months ago, that, you know, when I started something, he would just cut in and finish it off. And it's great, and I'm absolutely delighted. And we've worked for different organisations over the years, but I truly enjoy Premier League productions and the fact that we can sell the Premier League around the world, and I hope it's received well.
You sound right now like myself. I'm a color commentator myself with my man George Addo Jr. Around the office, people say we've become like twins because I can finish his sentences, and we've developed that rapport over 4 years. So I understand what you mean as well. Let me come to you, Carlton. Still on the subject of commentary, I don't know what level of football punditry you do now, but do you have any dreams of getting into it soon?
Yeah, I do quite a bit. I do. When I'm called upon, I try my best. I'm not the finished article.
Yeah.
It's a really hard job. I'm not gonna lie. I commend you guys. Like, you guys are up there for me. I wish to get to your level one day. But yeah, listen. If I can do it, I can articulate myself in the way that I want to. So in the future, yeah, I wouldn't mind to have a few more gigs and getting myself on the ladder.
You'll probably be a Premier League manager one of these days, and you'll be moaning at people like us for criticizing your team.
I know.
Thank you very much, but I don't do a lot of moaning. I always blame myself, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. And I'll say this about Carlton Cole. I mean, what I respect about you as a man and as a player is that during your career, you took responsibility for your actions. So let me bring this in. A lot of Ghanaians will remember you for a certain reason. Carlton, you know what I'm talking about.
I know.
Yeah.
I've got to explain myself on that, please.
Okay. So let me give my viewers a bit of background. Now, you remember when Ghana played England in that friendly match? Yeah. Now, Carlton Cole was taken out of context, and this is my private view. Now, he tweeted something that had to do with, the Ghanaians buying the ticket and going for the game, and something about anti-immigration. Of course, I mean, we are in a very politically correct generation, and so people got angry about it. But I saw the humor in it, but still, I think you were punished for it, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, I was punished for it. It was actually a joke, and it actually wasn't even my joke. It was one of my Ghanaian friends' joke. So all I'd done, it's unbelievable. All I'd done was copy and paste and thought it would be funny because it was among Africans, and everyone knows I'm from Africa. I'm half Sierra Leone and half Nigerian. Yeah. So I thought it would be funny just to have a joke, it wasn't a private joke in the end, but a joke between Africans. And it got taken, but I forgot that I played for England. So it got taken way out of context, and it wasn't even my joke. So I got fined £20,000, and it just didn't work out for me.
While I'm on this,
and you gave that to charity.
You gave that to charity,
yeah, I think. To give it to charity as well. Yeah. So
yeah.
But that was the main thing, because I did say to the FA, they fined me. I said, listen, I'd rather this money go to charity than go in your own pockets to go on holiday. so at least I gave it to charity. And listen, I didn't learn from that mistake. I made another joke later on in my career, and I got fined another 20,000. So comedy is not my main subject.
Anyway, but let me ask you. I mean, I didn't intend to ask, but as it's come up, so you always see players, when they are fined. How does it work, Carlton? You tell me. I've always privately wondered as a journalist. When you are fined, is it like you pay physical cash or they take it out of your salary? How does it work?
Yeah, well, so they take it out of your salary. So obviously, if you're objecting, they give you a meeting. So I objected twice. So I had to go in front of the board at Wembley. And then I had to walk into this really intimidating room and explain myself. And they didn't understand. So I ended up getting fined rather than, because they was going to give me a match ban, a couple of match bans, but we really didn't want that to happen, obviously, because the team needed me at that time. So I said, you know what, I'll take it on the chin. I'll take the fines, and hopefully I won't be back.
And you did go back.
And I did go back. I missed them.
Anyway, let me go around the table again to my man in La Liga, Guillermo. So La Liga has started. We are happy, but I have a question from Cecil Aminaku, tweeting from the Volta region in Ghana. He says, ask Guillermo, is Messi the only person you can use for your adverts?
You can use for our advert?
Yes, because it seems every single advert you use either is Messi or Messi and somebody else. Is he the most saleable commodity you have in La Liga right now?
Yeah, we actually have a policy. Of course, we understand Messi is the most popular one and the most maybe demanded one by the audience, by the brands. We actually have a policy, an internal policy for our sponsors, for example, to give you an example, in which if they want to use a La Liga player, they have to use at least 7 from 7 different teams.
Oh, okay.
Of course, we always want to use Messi, Eden Hazard, Joao Felix, Gareth Bale. So we try not to have always Real Madrid, Barcelona, only Messi. So I think we have lots of very good players to try to play with. Excellent.
That's one. So that's the question answered now. Carol, this question is going for you. This question is going for you. It's also from Albert. Albert Yaboa. Albert Yaboa is asking, Carol Chabala, your program on Supersport called Grandstand was very enjoyable viewing during the COVID-19 period. How is it that you guys were able to have so many good concepts even though there wasn't active football going on?
Yeah. Hi, Albert. Thank you so much for that question, and thanks for watching. You know, we were challenged during these times as well to really think out of the box. So no live football, but you had all of your subscriptions, and we really had to play our role as broadcasters as well to keep bringing you entertaining programming. So we thought this was a great way for us to look back at what has been. So the hashtag on Supersport was SS Relive. So we were reliving all of these significant moments through the years in all of the different sporting codes. And we were utilizing some of the big names who were now at home, who were stable, who weren't traveling, who weren't playing, and making them part of the show. So, you know, getting them to Skype in, getting them to use Zoom as well, which is what we're doing. To make them a part of the show. And what was really great is that we were able to have these really high-profile sports heroes and heroines a part of the shows, looking back at their performances and just commenting on that. So I think broadcasters all over the world have had to do that, just really think out of the box and adjust to what it is that we're going through at the moment.
Yeah, good stuff. Samuel Yaboa, tweeting at SYaboa60, says, please ask Jim for me. Before he entered commentary, did he know Peter Drury? Because the two make a great pair. Did you know Peter before commentary?
No, I didn't. I mean, I ended my career at Leeds United once I left Liverpool. And Peter was actually working for local radio in Leeds. He was working for BBC Radio Leeds. But we didn't really get to know each other then. We seemed to pass one another by. And it wasn't until, you know, my career ended fully before I began to even think about a career in the media. And then, as I say, we hooked up together in the mid-90s, and it's gone from there.
Beautiful. So we have just about 6 minutes to go. I mean, this is now question time. Let's keep it a bit light. Is that your voice I'm hearing there?
It's Peter Drury, right? Was it you, Jim, or Peter?
No, it was
Peter, and then me.
Yeah.
Peter,
it was Peter and
did
him.
all the important stuff, and then
So tell me about it, Jim.
And then you finished his sentences.
I wish I could have another go at
So
What
Jim,
a great day. What a brilliant day that was, because we were working for the big commercial broadcaster in the UK, ITV at the time, and there'd been one or two gremlins about. So there was a lot of pressure on that game opening up a new World Cup to get it right. I think overall it came out okay. But I was also in Soccer City later in the tournament for Uruguay-Ghana, and how you guys didn't make it to the semi-final, I'll never know.
Yeah.
I thought I might get that. Yeah.
Carol, where were you? Where were you when this goal was scored?
The opening, I was at Soccer City. I was right there. I was in the stadium, and wow, it's just, yeah, it's almost like an out of body experience, because before that we were like, are we even going to score one goal? Is this even possible? Is this going to happen? Are we completely going to embarrass ourselves? And you know, everyone talks about that strike from Chabala. I remember it was nominated as well as one of the best goals of the year. I traveled with Spiwe actually to the FIFA Ballon d'Or, and he was hoping to win a Puskas Award for it. So it made the cut. But people talk about that final strike, and even Spiwe today put so much emphasis on the pass.
From Teko Modise.
Yeah, and Teko and Kagiso, you know, he talks about just how this was such a team effort. And, you know, after that goal, I think all of the pressure, the weight was lifted off of our shoulders, and the celebrations and the World Cup proper could officially begin.
Nice one. Where were you, Guillermo, when that goal was scored? Guillermo, where were you?
I was in Spain. I was still a student at university, and how to forget that World Cup, right?
Of course, that was your World Cup as well.
Sorry?
That was your World Cup as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our only one, but yeah, it was extremely special for us, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so Carlton, you are half African, basically. How did you take that goal, especially from somebody who scores goals? Can you describe the technique, I mean, in a way that a striker can?
As Carol said before, the pass was unbelievable, because you got to look at the pass, because that sets you up. And then obviously the quality after that, your first touch, get out your feet, have a look, pick your spot, and you couldn't pick a better place in the goal to put it. Top corner, like when I saw that go in, I was like, this World Cup's going to be good. And I was so happy for South Africa to be getting into the, because I knew they'd be definitely nervous, because it's a different pressure. When you're hosting, it's a very different pressure, and there's expectations. So I was so happy for them to be in that position. And what a player as well. What a player.
Okay, so we're ending in 3 minutes. I'm having a question, actually several, for you, Carlton. Are you related to Ashley?
No, it's funny that, because I always get Andy Cole, Ashley Cole. Sometimes I even get Joe Cole, that is my brother. But no, I'm really tight. I'm really close with Ashley. We speak like at least once a week. We're doing our FA courses together. So he's a really close friend of mine. I knew him while I was at Chelsea, and he was at Arsenal at the time. Then I kind of missed him when he came to Chelsea. I went off to West Ham. So, but we always stayed in contact. Obviously, he was in the England team together. So, he's a great lad. Really misunderstood, by the way, but I'll let him explain himself on that one. But
don't worry, as an Arsenal fan, I know all about him being misunderstood. As an Arsenal fan, trust me, I know. I know.
At one time too, Carlton, he was the best left back in the world.
In the world.
Oh, yeah, without a shadow of
a doubt.
He was.
Without a doubt. He was up there challenging Roberto Carlos at those times when Roberto Carlos was hot. And so that's the level I put him at. Do you know what I mean? So he's a top lad as well. So I'm really happy and privileged to know him.
Nice one. 1.5 minutes to go, my producer says in my ear. Time now for us to say our bye-byes. It's been an absolutely rip-roaring show, educative, insightful, and you guys are all stars. I appreciate your time. Guillermo, anything you want us to know about the start of La Liga? You are the rep for Ghana and Nigeria. Fire away, 15 seconds, anything.
Not much. I just hope you will enjoy. I'd like to thank you so much for having me tonight. It's been a pleasure sharing this chat with all of you, and just enjoy La Liga.
Jim, look, you have a huge fan base here in Ghana and across the world. You are doing an amazing job. Thank you for your service to us every weekend. And any final words?
No, I've enjoyed it. It's been a great invitation to accept. And here's to the Premier League return.
Nice one. Carol, anything you want to tell us? Oreku Ampofo, my producer, loves you. He loves you.
This has been such an honor, honestly, Gary. An easy invitation to accept. I've enjoyed the show. I mean, look who I'm with. Esteemed individuals. Loved it. Loved the return to football of La Liga. I was also watching El Gran Derby earlier on, Guillermo. So looking forward to the rest of it unfolding. And of course, next week, the Premier League. And it's all going to be live and in high definition, super sport, you know.
Yes, I know. Carol, thank you very much. And Carlton, I really appreciate you coming on. I wish you all the best. And hopefully you become the first black manager in this era. God bless all of you. And I appreciate your time. From all of us here, the production team here at Joy News, from the Joy Sports team, who held me up even as I had malaria for the last 3 days. Thank you, and God bless us all. Bye-bye.